I went through an Italian rambling because he just says Italian because I said Italian and stuff without mafia on this shit. So just go. I'm just saying, you know. Piling my books into my bag, I catch a glimpse of the library books I'd borrowed last week. I might as well return them, considering they took all of 2 days to finish. I briefly considered inviting Hanako along to the library, but she's already gone. It'll probably be better for my studying if I'm alone anyway. With a quick stretch and a wave to a couple of classmates who give the same to me, I make my way out of the classroom. As I open my bag and shove the books through the return slot in the front counter, I notice a strange person behind the desk. Old and graying, she must be Yuko's replacement when she's working at the cafe. I begin looking for a free table, a task made somewhat difficult considering that, despite there not being many students in here, they're all sitting at their own tables. I was about to say stables, what the fuck? Excuse me. Noticing a familiar head of hair, I walk over to one near the Braille section. And there she is. It's hard to tell whether Lily's concentrating hard or not, her placid expression holding perfectly still as her finger slides across the dot-filled pages of her book. Hi, mind if I sit here? Oh, no problem at all. She trails off evidently, still focused on her business at hand. Ah, Hisayo. She gives a nod of greeting as I sit opposite her at the table, pluck a chemistry textbook out of my bag, and quickly thumb to the chapter we're covering in class. For a while, we sit there and read each in our own way. Seeing her reminds me of what Kenji said this morning, though. That and the fact that I've never seen someone read in Braille before makes me keep throwing glances at her. I kind of feel guilty about it, given that she has no way to realize I'm doing so I decide to just ask her about it. Her lineage isn't exactly a state secret after all, and there's another thing I've only just noticed from her movements. Hey Lily, mind if I ask a question? Not at all. Is anything wrong? I was just wondering, you're at least part foreign, right? She gives a small giggle before setting down her book. I've always been amused at how squeamish people are about that. Akira's mentioned how much he and I look different from most others before. The details are a bit complicated, but I'm half Japanese, half Scottish. Oh, okay. There you go. Scottish, that was not exactly my first guess. It takes some effort to not blurt it out loud. Well, at least she's not Italian or Russian like what Kenji said. And the Italian part, just makes no sense on that. But like I said, mention if any of you are Italian and blonde, you know. Can't believe I got off track with that one little thing that Kenji's mentioned. But Scottish, obviously. I mean, she's northern, therefore she's blonde. So it makes a whole lot of sense. And blue eyes. That was not exactly my first guess. It takes some effort. Yeah, not to blur it out. I tried to conjure images of the place in my mind. I think as far as the UK goes, Scotland isn't bad to live in, but I'm not really sure. My first guess of England was surprisingly close, at least geographically. That does leave another question though. But you have no accent. That's where the details begin. I was born and raised in Japan, despite my mother being foreign. Ah, I get it. Hold on, if she moved to the dorm simply due to Akira working longer hours, so they don't live near the school. She gives a small sigh as if she didn't expect me to go any deeper. Was her previous frankness just a front? Not exactly. It's been a long time since we've actually met. I feel like I'm not getting the whole story, but I don't really want to go unduly prying into her situation. Her about face shows she feels kind of awkward about it. So, do you speak much English? To be honest, I don't know that much about Scotland, but at least I know that's the main language there. And technically Scottish, but Scottish is kind of like English, but very, very stiff, I would say. And I know that because when you go on Wikipedia and type in the United Kingdom, it says the United Kingdom in Scottish, and it's kind of the same thing, but like I said, very, very, very stiff. It's kind of funny in a way. Also, by the way, I haven't mentioned this. I actually have two cousins that live in Scotland. They're actually much older than me. They're kind of like already graduates. One of them is already a medical doctor. The other is almost becoming a lawyer. But yeah, I have two cousins that are like, well, one of them was born in Damascus but was raised in Scotland, and the other, I don't know if he's born in either like Scotland or Syria for that matter, but he is also Scottish. But my mom's sister basically does live in Scotland, along with my two cousins, who are the only two that are much older than me, basically. I'm not the oldest of my family, but I would say only two cousins that are more adultish compared to me, if you know what I'm saying. That kind of thing, so at least I know that's the main language there. It takes her a moment to collect herself, appreciating the change in topic. That's right, my family mostly used Japanese around the house when I was young, but they made sure Akira and I knew our Scottish side just as well. I'm fluent in the language, but I'm also studying it in school to keep my skills up and to have the qualifications on paper mainly. So you're bilingual, that's pretty impressive. I wouldn't go that far. Having parents who can speak the language is a large advantage, and English books in Braille aren't too hard to buy or import, with Yuko's help at least. There's a relatively high demand for local English teachers here anyway, which also helps to give me some motivation to learn it well. Demand for English teachers. For a moment I wonder why she brought this up. You're planning to be an English teacher? She gives an enthusiastic nod. Oh, how nice! It must be nice having such a definite future in mind. I've never really given much thought to mine, so I'm kind of envious. What's wrong? It's just, I could see you as a teacher pretty easily. It suits you. For a moment, she's speechless. She lowers her face a little and lets out a nervous giggle, something I've never seen her do before. This guy's such a smooth talker, I have to admit. With Lily's role as a class representative and her dependable nature, teaching does seem to be a line of work fitting her personality. Sorry, that was probably a little much. It is true, though. Waving her hand in front of her face dismissively, she quickly recovers. It's not that, it's just that only one person's ever said that to me before. A short, somewhat awkward silence follows the discussion. Without knowing it, I ended up steering into a troublesome topic again. Oh, what is that? I should try to cheer her up a little. It was me who went and got her brooding after all. Want to go grab lunch at the cafeteria after this? It might perk her up a bit, or at least take her mind off her apparently complicated family situation. Going by her smile, it seems to have the intended effect. I appreciate the thought, but the food there, quite a quick redirection of the conversation. She does have a point though. The food there isn't the greatest. Maybe the Shanghai. We could ask Hanako if she wants to come as well. Ah, what is it? I almost forgot until you reminded me. Hanako's birthday is coming up soon, and I was going to go shopping in the city for a present tomorrow. If that's an invitation, I'd be happy to accompany you. The ability to get more used to the layout of the city would probably be a good thing. I have barely set foot in there, so I'd be hopelessly lost by myself. She gives a nod, signaling that she happily approves of this plan for Sunday. We eventually get back to our books, though. Before I begin reading again, I steal one last glance at her. Maybe I've been thinking on my situation too much. After all, everybody here would have their own unique circumstances. The chance to get outside and clear my head will probably do me good. Bored of standing in place watching the television in a shop window, I pull myself away from the tacky display with little effort. After living at Yamaku, the city seems like an entirely different world. No running in the halls, calm and orderly conduct is to be used at all times in the classrooms. Students are to exit rooms after checking both directions for oncomers. Elevators are reserved for movement-impaired students, single file on stairs. Compared to such strict, almost regimental standards, the city's shopping arcade might as well be a strange country. While the school may have its fair share of hustle and bustle during the festival, the outside world is much different. It's strange, having lived in a metropolitan city before my accident, this should feel more natural than Yamaku and the surrounding town ever could. Yet it feels foreign somehow. The elevated walkways and tall buildings, each adorned with billboards taller than any three people, don't do anything to distract me from the passing crowd's reactions. Lily keeps one hand on my shoulder, the other holding her cane with taps to the ground with a metronome-like steadiness. Looking over to her, that neutral smile of hers still holds. I love her new dress and stuff. Also, I noticed she's Christian. Just putting that out there. Having only seen her in school uniform, I'd not have recognized her as she sat on a bench waiting for me to come, if not for her cane propped up against it and her distinctive hair. I can't tell whether they're glancing at her due to her height, her foreign looks, her obvious blindness, or all three. Not that any of those would make the situation any less uncomfortable than it is. Do you have any ideas of where to look first, Hisayo? Her soft voice breaks me out of my line of thought. I can't imagine that she's failing to notice the attention she garners, but she seems unfazed by it. I get the feeling that she's the type to enjoy walking outside, so she might be used to it by now. Not really. This is my first time in this city, so I've got no idea of where to go. She furrows her brow in thought, planning a route for us to take, and come to think of it, a way to communicate it. Something I'd noticed in the time I've been with her is how, when deep in thought, she lacks close to any form of body language to show it. Her expression may change, but not a hint of movement shows. She seems to have little in the way of sweeping physical gestures in general, though, so I've assumed it's part of her reserved nature. Is there a large electronics store near here? Near here, I mean. I take a quick look around, mostly finding clothing stores. After a few seconds, I notice a store with a bright blue sign some distance away that fits her description. Yep, it's just a bit ahead of us. Should we go in that direction? Thankfully, it's just the information she needed. With a nod, we start off and head towards Lily's unknown destination, landmarks being our guide.